In this tutorial, you'll practice graphing lines using only the y equals mx plus b equation, known as the slope-intercept form of a linear equation. Remember, the value that is in the m position is known as the slope, or the rate of change. The value that is in the b position is the y-intercept. So finding these numbers is important to the steps for graphing. The constant value is where you're going to start graphing your line. Once you have that point, known as 0 and whatever b is, once you have that point, from there you will create more points by following the directions of the slope. So let's first practice identifying these two values. In this equation, y equals 2x plus 1, do you know which value is the rate of change and which value is the y-intercept? It is color-coded, so the rate of change is 2. The y-intercept is 1. Now remember, the y-intercept is a point, always with a 0 in the x position and the b value in the y position. The rate of change, or the slope, is always a fraction. So if you don't have a denominator, put a 1 in its place. The reason we make it a fraction is because the slope is a set of directions. It tells you how much to move, rise, and run. So you're going to move up or down, and you're going to move left or right. Let's try this again. In this equation, which value is the slope and which value is the y-intercept? Now look carefully at my signs. My slope is negative 2/3, and my y-intercept is negative 8. That's important. Now look at your slope. If the numerator is the rise and your value is negative 2, that means you'll be moving down 2 units. If the denominator, which is the run, is a positive 3, that means you'll be moving to the right. So after you plot your first point, you will be moving 2 down and 3 to the right. All right, these are the steps for how to successfully graph a linear equation. Pause the video and read through all 4 now. Okay, did you pause the video? I mean it, it's important. But don't worry, you can always rewind and come back to this. Let's get started with an example. The equation is y equals 3/5 x plus 3. Step number 1, identify your y-intercept value. That's this number here. That value is the point 0, 3. So I'm going to take this point, go over to the y-axis, and plot it at positive 3. Now from here, I need to follow the directions of the slope. Remember, the slope is the coefficient of x. So my slope is 3/5. So that means from my initial point, I'm going to rise 3 and run 5. Rise 1, 2, 3, run 5 to the right because they're both positive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rise 3, 1, 2, 3, run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Connect them with a straight line, draw arrows on each end. Remember, the slope is a set of directions. Change in y is 3, change in x is 5. Change in y is 3, change in x is 5. If you'd like, you could even make a table of values with these directions. Again, your y-intercept was 0, 3, and if the change in y is 3, then that means you add 3 to every y value. And if the change in x is 5, that means you add 5 to every x value. All right, let's try this again using the standard equation. So I'm going to delete this table for a minute. I'm identifying my parts. My y-intercept is 5, also known as 0, 5. My slope is 1 over negative 2. Now be careful here. My y-intercept is 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, make your first point. Now from here, you follow these two directions. A rise of 1, and the 1 is positive, so I go up. A run of negative 2. The 2 is negative, so I go to the left. There's my first point. I do this again. Rise 1, run 2. Rise 1, run 2. Rise 1, run 2. Rise 1, run 2 until I run out of space. Draw some arrows, and that's it. Now this makes sense that the line would be going downhill because my slope had a negative number. Let's try another one. My y-intercept here is 4. My slope is negative 2/3. So my y-intercept is 4. My slope is negative 2 over 3. So again, go to the y-axis, which is this line here, and graph your point at 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now follow the slope. Be careful. The top number is the rise. The bottom number is the run. Look at the signs. The rise is negative 2, so I go down 2. But the run is positive 3, so I go to the right. Down 2, right 3. Down 2, right 3. If you run out of space, connect your points and draw your arrows. Let's try one more. The y-intercept is negative 2. The rise is 1 over negative 2. So plot my y-intercept, negative 2, and now follow the directions. Up and left. 1 up, 2 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 left. All right, take a good look at this question. The y-intercept is 3, but look at your slope. The negative sign is actually on the side. So I want you to be very careful, and I want you to give that negative sign to only one of the numbers. It doesn't matter which one you give it to, but you can only give it to one of them. So let's plot our y-intercept, and now let's follow these directions. Down 1, right 3. Down 1, right 3. Down 1, right 3. Now, if your friend had given the negative sign to the denominator, they would be plotting the same line as you, but they would be plotting the other side. Positive 1, negative 3. Up 1, 3 to the left. Up 1, 3 to the left. See? It's the same line. So it doesn't matter who gets the negative, but only one number can have it. Now for the final example. In this problem, after you plot your y-intercept, if your slope is a whole number, don't forget to fill in the denominator with a 1. Again, the numerator is the rise, the denominator is the run. Rise 2, run 1. Up 2 over 1. Up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. If you want, you can even reverse it. Instead of up and right, you can go down and left. Down 2, left 1. Down 2, left 1. Because 2 negatives is the same as 2 positives. All right, that concludes the video on how to graph a linear equation by just using the numbers in the slope-intercept form.